Hello everyone and welcome to my channel War Capsule. Today I want to talk about the movie Sniper, The White Raven 2022. This movie is expected by the fans of the sniper genre and I myself was excited to see it. This movie is a great example of a war movie that is both entertaining and thought-provoking. It is the story of a Ukrainian sniper who is sent to the front line of the war in Ukraine. He is tasked with destroying enemy targets, but soon discovers that war is not as black and white as it seems. The plot is well written and keeps you engaged throughout the movie. There are plenty of action scenes that will keep you on the edge of your seat, and the pacing is just right. The characters are well developed and you feel invested in their journey. Now let's talk about acting. Pavlo Aldishin gives a wonderful performance as Mykola. He portrays his character with intensity and determination and makes you believe in his mission. The supporting actors also perform very well in their roles and add depth to the story. This movie does a great job of showing the horrors of war and the psychological damage it inflicts on the hands involved. It also shows the courage and determination of Ukrainian soldiers fighting for their country. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed Sniper, The White Raven 2022. This is a well-made movie that delivers on all fronts: action, drama, suspense. Mykola is a math teacher who rides his bike to work every day, while Natasha spends her time painting and creating art. A couple who have chosen to live in peace amidst the conflict. Their simple life in a house on a hill seems idyllic, but their peaceful existence is shattered when Mykola faces hostility from one of his students who accuses him of being Russian just because he lives near the border. Despite this unpleasant treatment, Mykola remains patient and refuses to engage in violence. He is a pacifist at heart and believes that peace can be achieved through understanding and compassion. However, his resolve is put to the test when he encounters two Russian soldiers guarding the road he travels every day. Mykola's heart raced with the slightest suspicion as he made his way to school, but upon arrival, he found not a single soul in sight. It wasn't until he turned on the television that he realized the gravity of the situation. The Russian-Ukrainian war conflict was heating up, and soldiers were on a mission to eradicate suspected spies aiding Ukraine. Without hesitation, Mykola rushed back home only to find two Russian soldiers torturing and raping his beloved wife, Natasha. The soldiers had mistaken her for a spy and were convinced she held valuable information. Despite Mykola's pleas that they were innocent civilians, the soldiers continued their brutal assault and even burned down their home before leaving. But it was when Natasha rose from her battered state and hurled a rock at the Russian car that things took a deadly turn. The soldiers opened fire, killing her instantly as Mykola watched in horror. He clung onto her lifeless body, consumed by grief and rage. After losing his wife to the horrors of war, Mykola was left with nothing but a wooden statue as a last memory. But when Ukrainian soldiers found them, they gave Natasha a proper burial and took Mykola to safety. But Mykola couldn't shake the pain of losing his wife and felt like he had no purpose in life. That is until he made a bold decision to join the military training and fight against the Russian army in Ukraine. His determination was so strong that even the commander at the base approved his intention. As he trained alongside other Ukrainian volunteer soldiers, Mykola faced challenges that he never thought possible. Being a mathematics teacher and pacifist, he struggled with physical exercises at first, but his motivation to honor his wife's memory pushed him to new heights. Mykola was a force to be reckoned with, surpassing all other volunteer soldiers in skill and determination. One fateful day, the commander called upon the new recruits, including Mykola, to address a dire situation. The Ukrainian army was in desperate need of snipers. The Russians had decimated most of their sharpshooters, leaving them vulnerable on the front lines. Mykola didn't hesitate for a moment. He stood up and volunteered without a second thought. But the commander and his comrades were skeptical. They doubted that Mykola had what it took to become a sniper, especially since he couldn't assemble an AK-47. But Mykola wasn't one to back down from a challenge. He boldly declared that he could dismantle an AK-47 in under 20 seconds with his eyes closed. The commander accepted his challenge, and everyone watched in awe as Mykola completed it in just 18 seconds. A captain from headquarters named Gregory was present during this display of skill and knew that that Mykola was destined for greatness. From that moment on, Mykola was known as Rave, an invincible warrior who would stop at nothing to protect his country. The scene opens to a group of eager volunteer soldiers who have been transferred to a top-secret sniper training ground. As they arrive, they are met by Mr. Gregory, a seasoned sniper in the Ukrainian military unit, who begins their theoretical training. As the training progresses, each soldier is given an SVD-type rifle or Dragunov semi-automatic shotgun, except for one, Raven. Raven is handed an old Semenov rifle with manual ammunition loading, deliberately chosen for him, as he has no military background and is new to this world. Despite being treated differently from his peers, Raven remains patient and determined. The following day, he joins his instructor for an exercise where he shows his mental fortitude by not flinching as bullets whiz past him and his fellow soldiers. The instructor explains that remaining invisible and calm under any circumstances is the basic rule of being a sniper. The tension in the room was palpable as Raven and his fellow volunteer soldiers gathered around Mr. Gregory, eager to learn more about the deadly art of sniping. With a steely gaze, Mr. Gregory began to explain the intricacies of the Dragunov sniper rifle, a weapon capable of taking out targets up to 600 meters away. But even as Raven's mind raced with thoughts of long-range kills, Mr. Gregory reminded him that it wasn't just about the weapon, it was about the sniper's determination and intelligence in battle. The next day, Mr. Gregory delved even deeper into the science of sniping, discussing factors like air temperature, humidity, and wind speed that could make or break a shot. But Raven was undaunted. He had always been good at math, thanks to his years as a school teacher. And so when Mr. Gregory presented them with a complex formula for calculating their shots, Raven was ready. With lightning-fast calculations, he solved the equation before Mr. Gregory could even finish asking the question. As the sun began to set, Raven and the other new soldiers were put through their paces once again. This time, they were tasked with firing in low-light conditions, shrouded in thick fog. As the other volunteers fired off their shots as instructed, Raven remained calm and collected, biding his time. But when Mr. Gregory marked him down for shooting off target, Raven spoke up. He hadn't fired yet, and when he finally did take his shot, it was dead on target. The next day, Raven was officially accepted as the top sniper in the Ukrainian army's front row. His skill had earned him a chance to carry out a mission with the commander himself. As the top soldiers of the Ukrainian army gathered to plan their attack on the Russian military at the border, they split into two teams, snipers and raiding units, and Raven was at the forefront of it all, ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. Raven and his team are sent on a dangerous mission to control the border and rescue civilians. With logistical assistance at stake, failure is not an option. As they arrive at the border with Mr. Gregory, Raven and his team are faced with a daunting task, securing a vast prairie area and taking down Russian soldiers on the lookout. But when a car filled with innocent civilians approaches, things take a dark turn. The Russians show their true colors as they beat one man to death and attempt to rape a woman. But Raven and his team are not ones to stand idly by. With their own targets in sight, they take down all of the Russian soldiers, including the one holding the woman hostage. Their mission is declared a success as they take control of the previously Russian-controlled border post. But as Raven arrives at base camp, he discovers that two of his friends, Clem and Dume, are missing. The tension builds as Raven sets out to find them, knowing that danger lurks around every corner. Two snipers are sent to a dangerous border to stake out. Little did they know they were being watched by the infamous and deadly Russian sniper, Suri. With his sights locked and loaded, Suri recorded the action as proof of his unparalleled skills before taking the shot. Tragically, Clem and Dume were killed in action, leaving their comrades and loved ones devastated. Clem was one of the best snipers in the Ukrainian forces, making his loss a significant blow to their team. Determined to take control of the border and avenge their fallen comrades, Mr. Gregory and his troops set out early in the morning to stop the Russian snipers responsible for Clem's death. Raven joins them on this mission, ready to take down anyone who stands in their way. As they enter enemy territory, Raven and his team set a trap and prepare for battle. Soon enough, they come face to face with several Russian soldiers, including one who had bullied Raven in the past and is now defecting to Russia. The explosive trap they set had devastating consequences, wiping out the Russian army and Raven's former student in one fell swoop. As they made their way to the first outpost, Raven and his team crawled through the savannah, keeping a watchful eye on the two Russian soldiers stationed there. But when Raven took aim, he realized with a shock that these were the very men who had raped and killed his wife. Emotions ran high as Mr. Gregory urged Raven to hold back and not shoot. But his anger got the better of him. He fired off a shot, taking out one of the Russians but also revealing their position to the enemy. The remaining Russians wasted no time in alerting Suri, who arrived on scene and quickly dispatched Mr. Gregory. Raven was left reeling from this devastating loss when he was approached by Mr. Colonel with a new mission: to take out two Russian snipers lurking in a nearby region. With vengeance burning in his heart, Raven accepted the challenge and set off on a dangerous solo mission that would test his skills as a sniper like never before. The scene was set for a high-stakes game of cat and mouse as Raven, the elite sniper, faced off against two Russian snipers. The odds were stacked against him as one was holed up inside an abandoned building and the other was expertly camouflaged amidst a pile of garbage. As the sniper disguised as garbage began to retreat, Raven seized his opportunity and took him out with a single deadly shot to the head. But he wasn't done yet. Despite being wounded in the arm, Raven managed to take down the second Russian sniper who was hiding inside the building. Just when he thought his mission was complete, Raven received a call from Ukrainian army headquarters. The news wasn't good. A notorious Russian sniper named Suri had released a video of himself massacring 5 Ukrainian snipers and 3 machine gunners. His goal: to strike fear into the hearts of the Ukrainian military. Mr. Colonel warned Raven that Suri was armed with a modern rifle capable of hitting targets up to 15 meters away, making him an incredibly dangerous adversary. But Raven knew what he had to do. He had to stop Suri before he could cause any more harm. The stage was set for an epic showdown between two of the world's deadliest snipers. The tension was palpable as Mr. the Colonel laid out his plan to gather the best snipers, including Raven, for a daring mission to raid a chemical factory controlled by the Russian army. The stakes were high as they knew that Suri and his team of skilled snipers were likely waiting for them inside. With nerves of steel, Raven crept into the factory under cover of darkness, while the Ukrainian sniper team and Mr. Colonel held their positions outside. Suri and his men were ready for them, but they had no idea what was coming. As Raven took out each Russian soldier with deadly precision, Mr. Colonel fired a machine gun to signal the Ukrainian army while distracting the Russian snipers. The Ukrainian sniper team opened fire in unison, taking out their targets with ease. Meanwhile, Raven continued his stealthy approach until he finally found Suri. With a quick shot, he took out the enemy sniper without hesitation. It was a risky mission, but with their combined skills and strategy, they emerged victorious over their formidable foes. Raven sprang into action, his knife glinting in the moonlight as he swiftly took down Suri. With the enemy leader out of the way, Raven turned his attention to Suri's henchmen, dispatching them with deadly precision using their own weapons against them. But just as he thought the coast was clear, a truck rumbled onto the scene, bringing a fresh wave of Russian soldiers to the factory. Undeterred, Raven retrieved Suri's sniper rifle and set his sights on their captain. With nerves of steel and a steady hand, he took the shot that would turn the tide of the battle. As the Ukrainian sniper team opened fire on the incoming troops, Raven knew that victory was within reach. But even as he emerged triumphant from the fray, his thoughts turned to his wife and all that had been lost in this senseless conflict. Visiting the ruins of his home and paying respects at Natasha's grave, Raven vowed to continue her fight for peace. And so it was that he found himself once again in a wintry landscape, ready to take aim at anyone who threatened to disrupt that hard-won tranquility. In Sniper the White Raven 2022, we see firsthand how war can tear lives apart and leave nothing but sorrow and vengeance in its wake. But through Raven's journey towards redemption and reconciliation, we also learn that there is always hope for a better tomorrow if only we have the courage to fight for it. Thank you for joining me in this exciting summary of the movie Sniper the White Raven 2022. This action-packed thriller takes us on a journey with a skilled sniper who must use all his training to take down a dangerous terrorist group. With heart-pumping action and suspenseful moments, this movie will keep you on the edge of your seat until the very end. I hope you enjoyed this summary as much as I did presenting it to you. If you have any suggestions for the next movie you'd like me to summarize, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.